Grab a glass and get out here. We're drinking Fortaleza Blanco tequila. Now this tequila I found a couple years ago. It had been recommended to me by a good friend of mine. He works at a liquor store and had seen some of these coming in. We had heard about it before I had, and we had been talking about tequila, and he recommended that I keep an eye out for these and see if I can pick one up for myself. So I was looking around and stopped in at a liquor store on my way home from work one day and found probably 6 bottles of the Fortaleza Blanco lined up on top of each other, sitting on top of a locked case of Don Julio. And for any of you who are deeply into the tequila world, you'll understand why I would find that so funny and kind of ironic, that you're taking a bottle that is much higher quality, much more well esteemed, much more sought after, especially in today's market, than Don Julio that you can find in every liquor store around. But the Don Julio gets locked up. This is just sitting there. It doesn't even get its own spot on the shelf. I picked it up. It was about $65. And hearing about its story really made me excited for it. It's a very traditionally made tequila, following all of the old practices. No additives or anything like that. They use a Tacona and everything. Nothing modern in the distillation process. The agave they use to make the tequila in this bottle is at a minimum 8 years old. So that's something that, while yes, there was no additional aging done to this tequila after it was distilled, there was 8 years of maturation of the agave that's going into this bottle. So it's a very different world with tequila. You may see this and think it's like a gin or a vodka that can be distilled and bottled right away with grains that were grown months before and sold. That's not the way it is with tequila, and that surprises a lot of people. It surprised me at first, but it makes sense why you can find such a well-developed flavor on a unaged product like this. So this is the Fortaleza Blanco tequila. It's from Jalisco, Mexico. It's made from 100% Blue Weber agave, like all tequilas. It is unaged. It is 40% alcohol by volume, or 80 proof. And price-wise, the cheapest I've seen this is around $60. The most expensive has been $120 or so twice that. It gets marked up quite a bit, unfortunately. I'd say a fair price for your first bottle would be $70 to $75. If you're really into tequila, it's worth having one on your shelf, but I wouldn't pay past like $80. I did pay $80 once, and I regretted that. But anything under that, 70, 75, especially for your first bottle, it's a fair deal. Let's get into it. So it's a great nose, sweet agave, some vanilla, not quite honey. There's a touch of sweetness in there. It might be even a powdered sugar type of sweet. It's really pleasant, but it smells alive. It smells fresh. Kind of like, man, it's hard to think of what a good note would be for you guys. An aloe vera plant that you put honey on. I don't know. There's just this incredible green sweetness, along with just a lot of agave, cooked agave, Like if you made a simple syrup from agave, kind of is how this is smelling right now, which is incredible for such a traditionally made tequila. Getting onto the palate, you still have some sweetness, but you get a lot of earthiness too. Some minerality in there. There's a burst of like black pepper that you get on the tongue, and that lingers around. The black pepper, a little bit of sweetness, a little bit of minerality, earthiness, lingers on the finish for a decent amount of time. Pretty good mouthfeel. Now, you might be thinking 80 proof, wow, it's watered down so much, especially if you're coming from the American whiskey world. They actually only distill to about 46% alcohol by volume. So their cask strength, or their still strength, I should say, is 46%, 92 proof. That is as high as they've gone. And then they water it down to 80 proof, which is a very much smaller jump. Most American whiskeys are distilled to around 160 proof and then watered down to 125 before they're barreled, and then further watered down to sometimes as low as 80 before they're bottled. So a lot more added water happening over there than you might think, and a lot less happening in this bottle than you might think. It just gives it this really crisp, clean mouthfeel. It coats well. The flavors are really enjoyable. I love the sweetness. It's not as sweet as the nose, but it comes through along with that minerality. And I know I'm repeating myself here, but the mineral and the black pepper that just burst in there, it's delightful. So why should you buy this bottle? Why should you buy Fortaleza Blanco? It's a gorgeous, additive free, traditionally made tequila with a very long history. The bottles are hand blown, the corks are hand carved to look like the agave hearts that are used to make tequila. So, presentation wise, 10 out of 10. I really love this. It's fantastic for an enthusiast. If you have had several tequilas and have gotten used to that flavor profile, this is a great one to try. Uh, I love it. Why you shouldn't buy this tequila is it is kind of expensive in the world of tequilas. If you're finding it for a good price, it's 65 bucks. That's not cheap in today's market, and especially with how expensive everything else is. Why are you going to spend $65 on one bottle? It's delicious, but whether it's that delicious, that's going to be up to you. It's hard to find. When you do find it, it's often overpriced, like I said, to $80, $100 or more. Sometimes it's kind of an allocated tequila. You'll find it in raffles. So, that's a bummer, unfortunately, that it's not regularly available. The minerality that I kept mentioning could be off-putting to you if you're used to a sweeter style of tequila, or have really only hung out in the bourbon world or something like that and aren't ready for that. Could be off-putting. It's something you'd probably be able to overcome with time, but I just want to let you know that that's there and could hurt your experience starting off. So, what are some other bottles, with this one being hard to find especially, what are some other bottles you could look for? I would say the Siete Leguas Blanco is a great alternative. It also has some of the minerality. All the tequilas I'm about to list are going to be additive free and traditionally made. I'm not going to I'm not going to be recommending Jose Cuervo. Trust me. Um, but yeah, Siete Leguas is a great bottle, relatively available and affordable, around $45. So $20 cheaper than this. Very good uh, tequila. It will also have some of the minerality that I find on here. So similar flavor profile, not quite as refined, but more available, a little bit less expensive. You could consider Lalo Blanco, another brand with great history, really nice presentation. It's more of a modern take, the newer brand, but with family history. Cleaner flavor profile. I'd say they have a lot less minerality, to my palate at least. For an upgrade, potentially, you could look at Cascanes. They have a great bottle. It's a little more expensive, $75 for their Blanco, but they really know what they're doing. It's fantastic. And finally, for a budget option, the Arete is a very budget friendly, traditionally made tequila. It's like $25. So you're down close to the Jose Cuervos of the world, but with a traditionally made, additive free, fantastic product. So if you just want to try something that you don't feel bad mixing into margaritas later because you aren't really into tequilas all that much, maybe start there. But thank you so much for listening. Salud. Go touch some grass.